If everybody will take their seats, we'll get started. Welcome to White Bluff for those of you that just came in. For those of you that live here, welcome to the meeting. This is the 2023 annual meeting of the White Bluff Property Owners Association. I'm Jim Fletcher, president of the board. Mr. Manders, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
And Mr. Joe Manders, secretary of the board, has certified that we have a quorum. I call the meeting officially to order. I'll start with introductions. I'll start on my far left, your far right. Trina Chagneau, board member.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Teal Lang, board member. Leonard Critcher, past president and board member. Joe Manders, board secretary. John Bass, vice president for operations. Starting on my far right, Jan Smith, our newest board member. Going blank, Jerry Meyer. Jerry Meyer, vice president for long range planning.
What do we have for breakfast over there?
Not enough coffee. And to my immediate right is Jeff Williams, our treasurer. You should have received a copy of the May 21st, 2022 meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve, and if you make a motion or a second, please state your name for the record. Is there a motion to approve?
I so approve.
Cassie Fleming moved. Is there a second? Janet Gummel? Janet Gummel seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried on a voice vote. I will now ask a representative of Timothy DeVolt and Company CPA, our CPA firm that handles our annual audits, to come up. Do we have that person here today?
We do, but I think he's inside.
Okay. Bear with us a moment. We will retrieve the representative from our CPA firm to speak with you about the 2021 status of the 2021 audit. I believe they're still working on 2022. Just to give you a little background, we're still working on receiving financial documents from the prior management firm that we transitioned from July 1. So as soon as we get those, hopefully the CPA firm can also work on completing the 2022 audit.
So he is not working on the audit personally, so he does not want to speak to it, but we are waiting to get additional financial documents so that they can complete.
This is Nicole Carciafini. She's regional manager for the Castle Group, our management company.
It's on. It's on, Jen.
Oh, it is.
Good morning. Thank you for taking me in. So they are still working on gathering the financial documents from Arcus and Associa. We've pretty much collected everything from Associa. It's just getting them from Arcus. Until we have some of those important documents, they're not going to be able to complete the 2021 audit. So we are going back through searching informal demands to try to collect those documents. They can't start 2022 audit until they do the 2021 audit to make sense of that. Thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, retrieving financial documents needed for the 2021-2022 audits have been, to say the least, very challenging, trying to get those from the prior firm. And we've been working with our legal counsel to try to get those so that these audits can be completed. At this time, I will ask our General Manager for the White Bluff Property Owners Association, Sue Ellen Kelly, to come forward and introduce the candidates for the 3 open board positions for which you will be voting this morning.
Good morning, everyone. We have 3 expiring terms this year. We also had 11 candidates this year. So I'm going to have each candidate in order that they're listed on the ballot stand up to introduce themselves. You've got 2 minutes to do so, and we're going to start with Mr. Rafiq Ahmed.
Hello, my name is Rafiq Ahmed. By profession, I'm a builder, an investor, and a real estate agent. I own many lots inside the White Bluff and also outside the White Bluff area. We love this community. I think it has, no, I don't, I know it has great potential, and we want to use the potential to the full extent. And my goal will be not to have any financial problems in the running of the management. And my idea is not to raise, have a special assessment or raise the funds. Rather, we will have more homes built here so we have revenue. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Christine Horn.
Good morning, everyone. Gary and I have been property owners here since the day after we met this place when I came here on a business conference and fell in love with it. We've witnessed and participated in the transactions and transformation from where we were before to where we are today, and we're very excited about the future of the neighborhood and participating in the growth and future of it. We feel that there is a very strong mix. I feel that there's a very strong mix we can accomplish in accommodating the old but embracing new things that will preserve what we all love about this place but keep moving us forward financially and as a really great neighborhood to live in, as well as embracing the community as they want to come and play golf here, which is part of how we fell in love with this place. So just have a very strong vision for what we can accomplish together, accommodating both ends of the spectrum, homeowners and guests. And I feel like that's a very strong future for us. Thank you.
Jerry Meyer.
Can I just stay here?
Sure.
Good morning. This is kind of unexpected. I didn't realize we had to do this today. We did this a couple weeks ago in the Canada Forum. Anyway, my name is Jerry Meyer. That's right. I've been a board member for the last 3 years, and I've truly enjoyed it. It's gone so fast I can't believe it, but you know, as I said in the Candidates Forum, after some of those 5-hour workshop meetings, it seemed that it does take a little bit of your time. During the last 3 years, I became vice president of long-range planning. I'm also a member of I'm a liaison to the Greens Committee, liaison to the ACC, and I'm on a 3-member board, which is a liaison to the fire department. I've also been a member of the Budget and Collections Committee, the Delinquency Committee, so been quite active, and I've learned a lot. One thing I did learn that being a member of the board, you get involved in so many different aspects of running basically a multi-million-dollar business, and it does take a learning process. I think it takes close to a year. I think Jan will attest to that. So, but no, but we always welcome new members and that stuff. I'm a big believer. Well, let's go back. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of supposition about the good old boys. Well, in the last couple of years, we've brought 3 females onto the board, and I've supported every one of them with my vote. Transparency is a big thing that I believe in. This last year, President Fletcher opened up every board meeting to the entire community. I don't think you get much more transparent than that. Going forward, I think we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us. Is there a time limit on this, Sue Ellen? 2 minutes. Going forward, I think we've got a lot of challenges facing us. The biggest thing right now is the financials, getting Double Diamond paid off. I can't speak to that. I think Jeff will speak more to that in the Treasurer's report. But we are on the right track, especially with the amenities, the revenue-generating amenities. They're coming around. We've got some great people on staff right now, and I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm looking forward to being a member of this board for the next 3 years and serving you all again. Thank you.
Bob Wilson?
Good morning. Bob Wilson, but I go by Robert. Well, I actually go by Bob. Anyway, we've been here for a little bit over a year, and we've kind of fell in love with the place the first time we were ever here. And I kind of feel I want to give back to the community. I've been involved with the church, and I've gotten a lot of pleasure out of helping different people out of that, and I want to get more involved here. My background is commercial construction and multi-million-dollar projects in general and mechanical companies. Anyway, I wasn't expecting to give a speech today. But just remember, I'm not a politician or a public speaker. Thank you so much.
John Bass?
Thank you. My name is John Bass. I'm asking for a fourth term on this board. This is now, I believe, my 17th or 18th annual meeting since I moved to White Bluff. And I can honestly say there's less issues and contention at this meeting than at any meeting I've ever attended. And you can always tell by the attitude of people walking in, you know, it's really a good thing, because when I first started coming to annual meetings, I mean, it was a free-for-all about half the time. You know, you had the former developer chewing people out from the stage, issues, and finally we overcome that hurdle. Today, we have rebuilt most of White Bluff. We have a few more projects to go. Of course, the roads is a big issue. We'll get that done. We're just a few weeks away from turning Rick Ashton loose, and he'll talk about that. But we're going to get there, and I hope you see that there's some value in my staying on the board, and I want to thank you very much for your vote.
Atif Khawaja? I don't think he's here. Ken Faw? Anybody? Nope. Okay. Mark Fusselman?
Well, good morning, all. I feel I should be looking the other way, but turn it around. Thank you. Well, good morning, all. Hey, so my wife and I have lived here for 3 years. We bought our home here 5 years ago. Previous to moving to White Bluff, we were from a state that I don't really want to mention. But we moved to here for the right reasons. In fact, this morning, a young lady asked me why we moved here, and I told her for the right reasons, and she wanted to know why we moved out of California, and turn on Fox News. You can figure that out real quick. So, long and short of it, while I was there, I was general manager of a big Toyota store for 19 years. So I understand business, I understand expenses and income and expenditures and HR issues. And so our store had, well, give or take the day, 252 employees. Plus, I managed satellite stores with another 80 employees. So moved here to basically retire. So July 8th, I'll be retiring for good. With a position here at another Toyota store. So while we were in California, I was a board member and ultimately president of the Wallace Community Services District, which served as the POA, as well as we were the water district provider for the community, Wallace Lake Estates, as well as the town of Wallace and surrounding communities. So I understand water. I know that's an issue. So arguably with the toughest state in the nation for regulations as well. So I would just ask for your vote. I can definitely do this job, and I know that you're looking for people that can, although we've got very qualified people for incumbents. So I get it, it'll be tough, but maybe next year if it doesn't work out this year. Thank you.
Teal Lang?
circulation going by walking up here. I am currently on the board, in case you didn't see, and I'm running for reelection. I only served a partial term, so I felt like that's kind of my learning curve behind me, so I would like to run for another term. I think that White Bluff is finished with the putting out fire mode. We've got the amenities up and running. I think it's great, so I would like to work on the long-term planning for the future. And my background, it's the good thing and the bad thing about me, because I'm an attorney, which I mean, no, people don't like lawyers, but I am a real estate attorney, so I'm hoping that I could help White Bluff with those skills. I've been practicing law for 35 years in Houston and in Dallas, and I retired March 31st. So, thank you.
Will Sasser.
Yeah, hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the rain last night. It was nice to see. My name's Will Sasser. I'm running for a position on the board. We've been property owners here since 2015. During that time, I've watched this board and thanked them for all of their hard work to bring White Bluff to where it is today, and also have enjoyed getting to know Sue Ellen and the crew in the office. So the things that I see in the future, and while there's a great foundation to build upon, is just to think about our property values and what we can do to protect those, what we can do to enhance them as a community. I'm asking for your vote so that I can contribute to that cause, and I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else in attendance who is interested in throwing their name in the hat for the Board of Directors? Okay. All right, so you should all have a ballot. If you have not already, go ahead and select up to 3 candidates on the ballot. Once you're done, fold that in half, raise it in the air, and we're going to have these nice folks from Castle come around and collect your ballots. Yeah, if you do not have a ballot, just raise your hand and we'll get you one.
And if you've already voted online.
Did you already vote online?
Yes, sir.
Did you Stephen Murphy for
Oh, no, I did not. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He was not on here. We have one more candidate. I apologize. Mr. Stephen Murphy. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Mr. Stephen Murphy, are you here?
Should we tell them that if they've already voted online?
Yeah. And if you have already voted online, you can't vote today.
I want to ask you, raise your hand, whoever has not voted online. If you have not voted, raise your hand, that way they can pass it on to you.
You want me to ask that?
Yeah, I would ask that.
Yeah, so if you have not voted online and you need a ballot, raise your hand. Okay. Sorry, guys. That was so, I promise that was completely
Since I've been on the board for the past 7 years, this is the first year that we've had a management company that has totally managed the annual election. The board has remained completely out of the process. They have done an excellent job in compliance with state law. Texas law requires that we can only begin the process 60 days before the annual meeting. And as many of you may recall, in years past, to get a quorum and to actually be able to hold a meeting and conduct business, we had to begin the process sometimes as early as October. I'm very pleased to say this year The Castle Group began the process 60 days prior to today and completed it very successfully. Vote Now worked extremely well. We had over 2,100 votes cast electronically. I will also tell you that not only did we, the board, remain on the sideline in the process of conducting the run-up to the election, but the board also voted the proxies that we received and the lots that are owned by the POA for establishing a quorum only. They were not voted for any particular set of candidates. So I'm very pleased that the outcome of today's election will be strictly on the property owners, okay? As the ballots are being tallied, I will go ahead and give my president's report. I will begin today by reminding you that we do have the Castle Group, our new management company, and they have been working with us now. I believe the transition process began about a year ago, but was completed, as I recall, sometime in July of last year. Every successful organization is built upon and sustained by leadership and teamwork. A large focus of what we have done as a board and as a management company for the past year is to build leadership and to better establish teamwork. On behalf of the board, I am very pleased to report that we have made great progress over the past 10 months in bringing about a good team of top leaders who work well with the board, who work well with the standing committees, and work extremely well with the existing staff here in White Bluff. We've added several new department heads. They will be giving you individual reports this morning, so I will try to minimize my comments on the activities that they have been in charge of so that they can explain in more depth and more precisely to you what they've been doing. I would also like to give a round of thanks to an array of people that have made this happen. The board, as all of you know, and the individual members are volunteers, unpaid, who give many hours every week and every month to making sure that this resort community continues to progress and improve. Specifically, I'd like to thank John Bass, Vice President of Operations, for his leadership that he's provided over the last year in developing strategies and plans for improving the roads in White Bluff and for making White Bluff more safe and secure. The board participates in these activities as a whole in decision-making, but over the past year, each individual board member has assumed individual roles to provide specific leadership in particular areas, and we've gotten a lot more done as a result of that. I'd like to thank Jerry Meyer, Vice President for Long-Range Planning, for all of his efforts in beginning to organize and move forward with long-range planning effort for White Bluff, and for also initiating a much-needed, long-overdue reserve study that we hope to complete over the next year and present to you next annual meeting. Joe Manders, Board Secretary, for keeping the minutes and for the many hours that he spent providing legal assistance and advice to the board on contracts and leases that we engage in every year. Jeff Williams, Treasurer, who spent countless hours reviewing financials, working with our new Director of Finance to make sure that we are balancing the budget, that we are staying within the budget, that we're meeting revenue targets and minimizing expenses. He is also the chair of the Annual Budget Committee, and they have done an outstanding job in these tough inflationary times that has been a very recent phenomenon for everybody, including the board, the White Bluff Property Owners Association, and all of us as individuals. Leonard Critcher for chairing the Collections Committee and working to develop a comprehensive plan for increasing maintenance fee and assessment collections. so that we're bringing in more money without having to increase individual maintenance fees. Teal Lang for providing many hours of legal assistance with real estate matters, compliance with association bylaws, and options for legal options for engaging in collection activities. Trina Chagnon for her work with staff and with the board on coordinating external marketing efforts to make White Bluff Resort more visible to people outside this community, and for the online communication with property owners. Jan Smith, our newest board member, for her efforts in working as a new member of the Budget Committee, reviewing the annual budget with each individual department head to identify better managing costs and improving operational efficiencies, and for providing leadership in evaluating management options for the association to increase our effectiveness. Last year, of course, the WBPOA contracted with Castle. I would also like to thank Brian Street, Executive Vice President, and Nicole Carciafini, who spoke earlier. She's the Texas Regional Manager, for the many hours that they've spent with the board and with the staff, completing the transition process and helping to improve operations for our association. Also owe a sincere thank you to our department managers and their staffs for their dedication and very hard work in improving White Bluff, learning new systems, and learning how to use those systems to better manage. Sue Ellen Kelly, General Manager. Keith Harris, Director of Golf and Assistant General Manager. Keith, by the way, is our in-resident PGA professional. Michael Shelton, Director of Agronomy. These courses are as beautiful as they've ever been, and I hope that those of you who love golf have an opportunity to play around over this weekend. Carrie Holden, Food and Beverage Director. Jamie Tamburello, Maintenance Manager. Rick Ashton, Roads Supervisor. Philip Powell, Chief of Security, and our newest management employee. And Tanya Nunn, Director of Finance, who is phenomenal at tracking the budget and providing the board very timely, up-to-date financial information that we need to make decisions. Thank you all for a job well done. Part of the team in White Bluff also includes the standing committees and the members of those standing committees who give many, many volunteer hours. These include the Architectural Control Committee, the Marina Committee, the Greens Committee, the Welcome Committee, and the Activities Committee. They provide many, many hours of service and financial contribution that's uncompensated to make this a better community and a better resort. Also want to give a special thank you to the Lakes Committee for their work in pulling together a scope of work and screening engineering firms to conduct the lake pump study to come up with options for supplying water to the golf courses. Some of you may or may not be aware that the Corps of Engineers ordered us to remove the electric pumps from their property. As an interim, we rented a diesel pump and began using the diesel pump to bring water to the golf courses and to the irrigated landscaped areas. In that interim process, the Lake Pump Committee worked with the engineering firm that just recently completed the report, and we will be reviewing that and making a decision of how we're going to have to go forward on that. Some of the key highlights since our last annual meeting. Real estate is a pretty good indicator, real estate activity is a pretty good indicator of whether or not White Bluff is becoming a more desirable place to live or to visit or not. And during the last year, there were 30 new homes completed for in excess of $10 million in value. 20 new homes are currently under construction, and 28 new applications for construction have been received. In addition, 46 homes were sold at an average of $460,726 during the past year. In a community like this, we have over 700 homes. So you're going to have, and like any community, you're going to have some turnover. And actually, not only are we getting turnover, we're probably getting less turnover than we have in years past, but if you put a home up for sale, it sells very quickly in White Bluff, which is also an indication that people want to be here. And during the past 12 months, 286 lots were sold at an average price of $16,219 per lot. I can tell you average lot values today are much higher than they were about 5 or 6 years ago. During the past year, the board and management staff for White Bluff have dealt with challenges as well as opportunities. Some of the key challenges we faced over the past year, the transition from Arcus Associates to our new management company, the Castle Group. That is a massive undertaking, transferring all the financial records, all the property owner records, retraining staff to new systems and new software, better training the employees so that they can deliver services in their particular area, and establishing a working rapport between on-site staff, the board, and the management company. Inflation was another huge challenge we faced. In years past, we've had relatively low inflation, did not have a lot of challenge balancing budgets, but this past year, just material and supply costs alone, primarily petrochemicals that go on the golf courses, that go in fuel in the vehicles that we use to maintain the resort, et cetera, increased by $879,000 over the prior year. It's 1 year. So even though the CPI or PPI may be lower than 10%, we found our actual inflation rate on supplies was much, much higher than the average inflation rate. A third challenge that we faced was a need for capital expenditures. Many of the facilities and systems in those facilities are old and have not been replaced. In a matter of about a 30-day period, we replaced 4 HVAC systems at an average cost of $10,000 to $15,000 per HVAC system to keep this place going. We had no heat. It was 104 degrees out here this summer. We had no air conditioning in the kitchen. Can you imagine cooking under those conditions? We had no air conditioning in the restrooms here in the new course pavilion. In addition, the kitchen over to 19th hole lost their air conditioner. That had to be replaced, and our security had their air conditioning system go down. These units, some of these units are 15, 20 plus years old. So those were expenses that you'd like to plan for, and this is what a reserve study is all about, and assessing the average age of facilities and anticipating and projecting when they're going to have to be replaced. We're going to get there this year. We're going to get there this year. We're going to get that reserve study done. I'd already mentioned the Corps of Engineers had us remove the electric pumps from their property, and we had to come up with a different way of getting the millions of gallons of water we need each year to the golf courses and the landscaped areas. And the last big challenge we faced was high employee turnover in a very tight labor market. We were paying below market wages, and it was difficult to hire people, and then if we hired them, we didn't keep them very long. In order to build a team, you have to have stability of personnel. You've got to get qualified people, you've got to pay them what they're worth, and you have to keep them so you can invest in training and get maximum productivity from them. These challenges were met by working with the Castle Group to review policies and procedures, assess personnel needs, and scrutinize financial accounts for the association, adopting a maintenance fee increase to cover the the costs brought about by inflation, installing the diesel pumps at the lake to keep the water flowing, and adjusting the hourly pay rate for employees here in White Bluff to make us more competitive with the labor market. Many of these people had been here 10, 15 years and had not received a pay increase, and this was for all the hourly employees. It did not bring us up to market, but it got us closer, and as a consequence, it helped to slow down the attrition and turnover of employees. Some of the key opportunities that we've experienced during the last year included the addition of 5 new highly qualified management staff brought in by Castle, who are working with the existing staff on site, many of whom have been here many years, to improve the association from a business standpoint, from a financial management standpoint, from a services standpoint. Opening and promoting the newly renovated Inn at White Bluff so that property owners, guests, and outside groups could come in, play golf, enjoy the amenities, enjoy the swimming pools, go fishing, go boating. The hotel is the occupancy rate in the hotel is continuously improving month by month, week by week, largely driven by efforts in the golf department to bring groups in, and also promoting the hotel to our property owners. We leased the marina store to a private investor and operator, local family who have completely renovated that store, have opened it up. They're now offering food, beverages, fishing supplies and accessories, and now fuel for White Bluff residents and guests. So that's just one more amenity we have that we did not have to invest money as a board and a property owners association that's now available to our guests. And we completed 16 new slips at the White Bluff Marina, all of which, by the way, were committed to people who were on the waiting list for slips the day they opened. So the revenue stream started coming the day those slips were completed and brought online. We added new pieces of equipment to the road maintenance department and a 3rd crew member. We're currently waiting on 2 key pieces of equipment needed that were supposed to be here the end of April so that we could have some road improvements completed prior to the meeting. That did not happen because of supply chain issues. The company assured us that equipment will be here the first week of June, and the road crew will begin chip sealing side roads in White Bluff. We completed the engineering study for the water supply system, acquired a 2nd emergency exit for White Bluff. The emergency exit we'd been using for years was privately owned, and we were going across private property. We now own that lot, worked out an exchange with the owner of the lot, and now that's a secure emergency exit that will be at our disposal in perpetuity. We commenced the long-range planning effort and initiated the long-awaited reserve study, reviewed and implemented the financial accounting system, and Castle brought in an on-site director of finance. She has worked very closely with the board and particularly the budget committee to keep us up to date day in and day out, week in and week out on where we stand financially. And working with Castle to build a stronger management team and to improve their skills through training. They do a lot of training. I think most all of the management level staff have gone to Florida for a week of training, plus they have online training modules, and Nicole Curciafini has worked very closely with our management staff to also provide training. The 5 new people that we've added recently to the team, of course, Sue Ellen Kelly, General Manager. Sue Ellen was with us about 6 months as Assistant General Manager before she was promoted to General Manager. Keith Harris, Director of Golf and Assistant General Manager. Kerry Holden, Director of Food and Beverage. Philip Powell, Chief of Security. and Tanya Nunn, Director of Finance. So that's 5 very, very key leadership positions that have been put into place in the last 12 months. Very briefly, the outlook for the next 12 months. The board expects to pay off the remaining loan balance for the amenity purchase to Double Diamond. We want to continue to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of operations through staff training, working with staff, providing budgetary resources, completing that reserve study, moving forward with long-range planning, developing and implementing a new policy and plan for improving collections, increasing the online presence of White Bluff Resort to drive more business and more guests here. And a lot of these people that come in and play golf discover White Bluff. They've never known about White Bluff in the past. They come here and play golf and they decide, I'd like to buy a lot here. I'd like to build here. I'd like to live here. And we're going to continue repairing and rebuilding the roads. We're just on the cusp of being able to do that to where it's very visible. Rick and his crew have patched cracks, have patched potholes, have graded the shoulders, have stopped shoulder erosion. Now they're ready to start resurfacing. Assuming that we do not encounter a major challenge or challenges over the next 12 months, like we did with 2021 in the flood, where the hotel was basically reduced to a shell, and we incurred close to $900,000 additional dollars over and above insurance to rebuild that facility. And assuming that we don't have a major economic recession and/or ongoing high inflation, we expect the next 12 months to be one of the best, if not the best, that we've had in White Bluff. And I'm not trying to be overly optimistic about that, but the progress we've made, the team and the leadership we have in place, the training that's ongoing, the budget that we have, I sincerely believe that 22-23 will be the best year for White Bluff. We're looking forward to working with the new staff, with the Castle Group, with the board and all the volunteers on the committees and the property owners to continue to make White Bluff a great place to visit and a great place to live. Thank you very much. I'll now call on Jeff Williams, our treasurer, to come forward and give your treasurer's report.
Good morning. Jim, did you say the board's not getting paid?
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. I'm pleased to present the treasurer's report for this 2023 annual meeting. As of May 16th, 2023, our current cash position was total operating cash, $1,290,392.86. We have accumulated special assessments today totaling $1,097,504.65. And our cash reserve account totals $771,448.08, bringing us to a total cash position of $159,341.59. Operating cash of $1,290,392, as I said earlier, is equal to approximately 2.4 months of operating expenses versus our goal of maintaining at least 3 months. So we want to continue to build that back to where we have a 3-month cushion. All that being said, though, based on the anticipated cost of operations, our accumulated cash plus our reserves, your association is both solvent and has adequate liquidity to sustain operations. I'll make a couple of other quick comments related to questions that I most often receive. First, related to the note payable to Double Diamond. As Jim just said, since we began to amortize the debt outstanding to Double Diamond in October of 2020, we have reduced the balance due on that debt from $3,550,000 to today's outstanding balance of $829,911.27. We have been able to accomplish this through making our regular monthly payments of $23,428.43, and more importantly, through special principal payments totaling $2,250,000 made possible because of the 3-year special assessment program, which began in 2021. At our next open board meeting in June, the board will be discussing the timing of the payoff of the remaining balance of the Double Diamond note using cash from our accumulated special assessment fund. I'll talk quickly about revenues and expenses through March 31. We have just gotten the first look at April financials in the last day or two, and the positive trends continue. But as Jim said, we have a fantastic management team in place. And as Keith and Carrie and everyone can attest, they were all intimately involved in developing the annual budget, much to their chagrin. Our weekly sales that are reported by the team every Friday are running more than 20% up year over year. And for the first quarter, which represents, remember, our slowest months of the year from a revenue standpoint, the total results are very much in line with expectations. Our combined golf operations revenues are in line with a very aggressive budget, up more than 20% year over year, while expenses came in 13% below budget. And this is largely attributable to belt tightening across all expense lines. Food and beverage, again, up significantly year over year at about 2% over budget in Q1, while expenses were less than 1% over budget in a tough inflationary environment from a food cost perspective. Lodging revenues are up 38% over budget, while expenses are running approximately 4% below budget. With all of these revenue-producing businesses, we expect continued aggressive growth through the remainder of the year. I know each of the department heads will outline some of the things that they see on the horizon in coming months. So I won't steal their thunder, but there's a lot of good news to come in terms of people coming to White Bluff and spending money. Jim touched on a couple of coming challenges, but from a financial perspective, there are a handful of things that we all need to be aware of. They're not unique to White Bluff in most cases, and they're not unique to operating the kind of a resort community that we do, but insurance costs continue to rise dramatically year over year, as we all saw in our homeowners and auto replacement costs, all based on significantly higher estimates of replacement costs on all of these buildings. Property tax valuations are also increasing, as we have seen valuations increase on lots and improved buildings, not only in our community, but across Texas. Electric utility costs continue to rise at a rate faster than expected. We are running ahead of budget in terms of our electric utility expense. So I call on those property owners who are on the Hillco board to get to work. The cost of replacing equipment continues to rise. As you know, we've added equipment as we've talked about and as we will talk more about during this meeting. But we have a lot of equipment that is old. The average mileage on trucks that you see running around White Bluff is more than 250,000 miles. The costs of replacing all of this equipment continues to rise. This will impact the POA significantly in 2024 in two ways, when both the grounds equipment lease, all the mowers, sprayers, all the other equipment that we use to maintain not only the golf courses but all the common areas, that lease runs out, as well as our golf cart leases. As you can imagine, all of that, every one of those pieces of equipment has increased dramatically in price over the last 4 years. We have continued issues with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers related to our lake water distribution system, as we've talked about in our last board meeting, and as Jim mentioned. We have conducted the engineering study. We received the feasibility, and it's not feasible to do the simplest solution. It's too expensive. We can't afford it. So we are back to the drawing board looking at plan C, D, and F. But for now, we will continue to pump water using diesel pumps. It is the most economic way that we have in the short run to continue. And Mike Shelton and members of this pump committee team will be meeting with the Corps shortly. And we have a continuing need to fund road improvements as well as other capital investments across our assets. Jim mentioned it. Many of the buildings, as most of you know, were not put together with the highest quality construction when they were built 25 years ago. And we continue to deal with those issues on a daily basis. And finally, collections. Where do we stand? Regular maintenance fee collections since June 30, 2022 represent about a 26% delinquency rate, pretty much in line with our historical averages and our current budget. We're estimating 25% delinquencies, and that number varies typically over the course of the year. We get closer to 80%. The collections committee is hard at work trying to push on that string, but that is an issue. The special assessment collections have improved since year end, but we still stand at about a 32% delinquency rate there. Continue to get money on an almost weekly basis out of that. But overwhelmingly, the biggest delinquencies we see are with property owners who own a single lot. They may have purchased those lots 20 years ago, and they paid an awful lot of money for them from Double Diamond, and they rightfully or wrongfully are upset. We have a collection committee that spent a bunch of time on this, and the amount of effort and thinking and cajoling and arguing that goes into it continues. But in many ways, this is an easier problem to talk about than it is to solve, because our hands are somewhat tied by the Texas Property Code, what we're allowed to do, and on advice from outside counsel in terms of the processes that we have to go through. The results are better than we had at year end, but we still have a lot of work to do. With that, Mr. President, I conclude the Treasurer's report.
Thank you.
Sue Ellen Kelly, our General Manager, will introduce the guest speakers for this morning.
We're going to have the Volunteer Fire Department report first. Mr. Hugh Corbin.
Thank you very much. The White Bluff Volunteer Fire Department consists of 3 fire engines, 3 brush trucks, a 3,000-gallon water tanker, what we call an attack truck, which we use for car accidents, car fires, rescues that carry the jaws of life and things of that nature, and a van that we use for support to bring water and food to long-running fires. House fires typically last all day, half the night, and on and on and on. The firefighters that are out there have to be rested up a little bit, refreshed a little bit, and start over again. We also have the only fire department boat on Lake Whitney. It's equipped with side scan sonar, and it's the envy of the Parks Department, at least for, that's what they're telling us. So we have to keep an eye on it to make sure it stays where it's supposed to. The department made 369 calls for service last year. These were grass fires, house fires, medical calls, calls to assist the residents, and any other calls like a tree down and things like that. Currently, we are short of volunteers. We would like to have 18 to 20 volunteers for the fire department. We have 12. This is the result of several people moving from the community, other people because of personal issues resigned from the fire department. We're seriously looking for volunteers, so you don't have to have any special skills. We will teach you what you need to know. All you need to know is that you want to be able to learn something and help people that are in need at the time. So, last year I spoke about the problems with the Hill County Dispatch Fire Department, as the dispatchers in the Sheriff's Office dispatch all the fire departments and the ambulance from Whitney. The problem that we had and still have is that periodically ambulances are dispatched to White Bluff and we don't know about it. The fire department is not notified, so we don't respond to the call. The fire department is actually what the fire department does on medical calls. Each one of the responders is equipped with oxygen, an AED, and a variety of medical supplies. Our function is to make sure that you're healthy as much as possible when the ambulance gets there. So anything that we can do to keep you going until they arrive is what we do. Currently, we have 2 EMTs and 3 ECAs, or emergency care attendants. So these 5 people respond to all of our medical calls. If you dial 911 and say that you need an ambulance or that you don't feel good or whatever it is that has to do with the medical issue, the fire department will be the first to respond to you. What we do then is we assess the problem and notify Care Flight as to what it takes to solve your problem. This may be an ambulance or it may be a helicopter. And as tempting as it may seem to ride in the helicopter, it is not a comfortable ride. So given the choice, take the ambulance. Last year, we talked about the problems we were having with our self-contained breathing apparatus, or SCBAs. This is the air tank that the fire department, firemen, fire people, fire whatever you want to call them, wear inside burning and smoky houses. This allows them to breathe and actually function to put out the fire or rescue people. The equipment that we had was over 20 years old and required continuous maintenance. Our concern was that someone would be inside one of these smoke-filled houses when the thing decided to quit. Since that time, I'm pleased to report that we have been able to replace every one of them with the state-of-the-art, brand new SCBAs. These are not only the newest and best model, but they also increase the time that each person has before they have to replace the air tank from 20 minutes to 45 minutes, giving them more time inside the house to do their job. This was made possible by the $50 semi-annual payment that each homeowner makes in their maintenance fees. It's a fee that goes into a special fund controlled by the POA, and it's for capital improvements of the fire department. And we thank you very much for this. Our current problem, which we always have one, is this. Hill County has decided to do away with the current radio system they have for the entire county. All of the police departments, maintenance people, fire departments, ambulances, everybody. They're all switching from a VHF system, which we've used for years, to an 800 trunking system. It is supposed to work everywhere in the county, which is a definite improvement over what we have now. Many dead spots out here. If you try to use your cell phone in a lot of places, you'll find it doesn't work. The same thing is true with the radios that we use. These are supposed to work. Unfortunately, they're very expensive. We're looking at replacing 10 mobile radios for the vehicles we have and buying 18 portable radios to hand to each one of the firefighters. The portable radios run about $2,000 a piece, and the mobiles are about $3,000 a piece. So you can see where this is going to be a substantial investment. but there's really no choice, and they're going to do away with the system that we have now in 2 years. So within the next 2 years, we have to come up with the money to replace all the radios that we have. So, as I said, the good part is that they are supposed to work everywhere. I think we heard that before on something they did, but a volunteer is a special person that's willing to give their time to help others. Without them, we would have no fire department and no medical response. It can be hard to get up in the middle of the night or in the cold of January or the heat of August to go to a fire or to someone's medical call, but they do without hesitation. Today, because of just the way things are with volunteers, there are very few of the fire department people that are here today. People had other things going on in their lives. But I would like for the people that are members of the fire department to stand right now so that you can see these are your neighbors and the people that will be there when you call for help. We thank you for all your support, and any problems that you have, call us and we'll be there. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Mr. Danny Boddicker on behalf of the Hill County Commissioner.
Good morning. For those of you that are not aware, our current county commissioner resigned back in December of last year, not current anymore. Andy Montgomery resigned, and we were asked to assign a new county commissioner. His name is Jim Holcomb, and for those of you that are not aware that the county has moved all the Precinct 1 offices. If you go down 933 past Cedar Creek Baptist Church, you look on the right, the old marble or granite warehouse, the county bought that. And they have moved all their county facilities. You've got the JP is in that office, as well as the game warden, the deputy John Miller's office is there, as is the Precinct 1 Road and Bridge is there as well. You might notice there's 3 large storage tanks that are soon to be utilized to store water for the county if they are needed for fire control. But Jim Holcomb, who is our current county commissioner, this weekend they're celebrating his wedding anniversary, so we'll give him a pass. But anyway, all you have to do is look up and down 933. You see there's lots of activity from everything from new subdivisions that are being platted, as well as there's been a number of solar farms that have been established here in Hill County. Whether you're for or against those, that's a sign of the times that are happening right now. So anyway, I just wanted to, I'm currently employed by the county as a part-time. We still have a lot of FEMA money on the table, and I was asked to help with that. So anyway, on Andy's and Jim Holcomb's behalf, I would invite you to, if you need anything from the county, to get in contact with him. Thank you.
At this time, Sue Ellen Kelly, General Manager for the WBPOA, will come up and give a management report, and she will introduce the individual department heads for them to give their reports.
Jim, I believe we're going to do committee reports first. I'm going to do committee reports first, correct? Yeah. Okay. Just before that, we're going to do a couple committee reports. So if Ed Helmbeck with the Greens Committee. He's not here. Okay. Ned Walmarth with the Marina Committee.
Morning. I'm Ned Wilmarth. I'm the chair of the Marina Committee. We have 5 people on the Marina Committee. We are an advisory committee to the POA board, so we don't make policy, but we do make recommendations to the POA board. Most of them are accepted. We have 5 members total, myself, Bob Valenta, Terry Hatcher, Beth Crutcher, and Mike Miller are all on the committee. The committee has a liaison to the board. The liaison is Jim Fletcher. The marina has not enough slips, but we have currently 122 slips that are built and operational. The environmental permit that we have from the Corps for the Marina Basin is 190 slips. So that's the most that we could ever expand to unless we were to have a successful environmental study that would allow it to go beyond that. But frankly, we would run out of space. We do have a plan to use all those 190 slots, and it'll be implemented in phases. The first phase we implemented, we requested 20 slips, but the Corps only approved 16. And last fall, we completed 16 new slips. Half of them were 24 feet long. The other half were 30 feet long. Those were all leased out. We have a wait list for new slips. If you are interested in boating, even if you think it's 2 or 3 years out, I recommend you get on the wait list at the POA office. The wait list is pretty well enforced on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you're thinking about it, get on the list. It doesn't cost anything to get on, and Brenda at the POA office will take care of that for you. Also, to move the wait list along, we have about 65 people on the wait list right now. To help move that along, we have been accepting requests for early lease termination from typically 3 or 4 people a year who want to get out of the marina because of health issues or other reasons. We have been accepting those early lease terminations and then turning those slips right back to the next people on the wait list. So we have been trying to move the wait list along as best we can. Our next step of expansion for the marina is called the 500 slips. If you're familiar with the marina, they're numbered, starting on the southern end at the 100, then the gas dock for some reason is the 300 slips, and then the next group is the 200, and then the 400 going north. So the next set of slips will be the 500 series slips. They'll be the northernmost set of slips in the marina. There will be 30 29-foot slips. The reason for the change in size is that the manufacturer has standard on 29-foot slips as being an optimal number for cost. Also, it's very useful in terms of the length of boats that we typically have leasing in the marina. The typical process that we go through to do a marina expansion, we can't just go out there and buy the equipment and put it in. So we have to go to the Corps of Engineers with a plan. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It's not been elaborate, but it does take a while for them to approve it. So the last one that we submitted for approval took them 6 months to approve. We have the next one ready for their approval. It's waiting only for 2 things. First of all, is adequate financing available from the POA, and also the mentioned earlier was the water issue that we have with the Corps of Engineers. We don't want to get in the middle of that discussion. So we're going to wait for that to come to some conclusion before we go ahead and submit this next proposal for expansion. The marina market, and by the way, the marina market is not part of the charter of the Marina Committee. They simply have a contract with the POA, but they have signed a contract with the POA to occupy the marina market. They're offering fuel, Jim mentioned, at the market. It's not at a price that you'd want to use to fill your car with, but it's just handy if you've brought your boat down and you don't have any way to get fuel in it easily. So it's competitive with what's available on the lake. They're going to offer, part of their lease is that we had provided them with 4 of the, what used to be the day rental slips in the gas dock undercover. So they have 4 of those slips. They're going to be using those for pontoon boat rentals and jet ski rentals. You can discuss with them what their schedule is. One of the things we try to have done every year, it's getting done every year now, is the annual pressure washing of the marina slips. There was a notice put out earlier this week. That's going to start on Monday. We get an awful lot of spider webs up inside the marina, so that pressure washing is done once a year, and this is the time that we do it. Another issue that we work is erosion, kind of keeping an eye on the erosion. Any of you who walk around the peninsula at the south end of the marina or around the entrance to the marina, you'll notice that we get erosion there. We get particularly bad erosion sometimes in the winter if we have storms that blow in from the west or the northwest. So taking a look at that, and also it's just a continual process. We have decided to add a bunch of rocks to mitigate the erosion on the south end of the peninsula. And for each of the boat slips, there's a gangway. And those gangways are on a cement pedestal, and those cement pedestals were just rebuilt here in the last 2 years, and we want to protect those. So they'll be getting surrounded with new rocks. The boat ramps themselves will be getting new rocks in the south end and the entrance to the marina also. Another thing that we do in the marina is just look after general maintenance issues that might not be obvious because they happen at a slow rate. And one of those things is, as people install and remove boat lifts, we have timbers that get cut up. And so we have a quote for maintenance repairs to redo all of the timber in the docks that have been either cut up or have rotted over the years. Several discussions here about older equipment. So some of the stuff that we're doing in the marina is new, but some of the equipment that we have down in the marina, the structures are quite old. The gas dock itself is about 25 years old, as are the 400 series slips. So we're not quite ready to do maintenance replacement on those, but those will be in the plan for eventual replacement. If you have any questions, you can contact me. I'll be around for the rest of the meeting, or any of our committee members, or contact the POA office and they'll get in touch with us. Same thing if you have any issues with anything that you find down at the marina, any safety concerns, let us know. Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. Today actually marks 60 days since I was promoted to general manager. And it has been a whirlwind, and it has been quite the experience. Most of that extremely, extremely positive. I mentioned in a board meeting a few weeks ago that my initial focus when taking over was engagement, not only with the property owners, but with my staff as well. You know, our doors are always open. Our phones are on. Please email us, call us with any issues or anything that you have. I am extremely lucky to have a group of seasoned department heads who work tirelessly to keep this place going. You're going to hear from a lot of them today. I don't think that Tanya Nunn, however, is on the agenda, and it's been mentioned several times, but Tanya is our Director of Finance, and she is an absolutely amazing woman. If you've talked to her, she's working through a lot of our collections issues, and we are just extremely lucky to have Tanya. Like I said, I don't think she's on the agenda, so I want to make sure you guys know that name. Keith and I have been working a lot to implement several castle procedures that will really streamline a lot of the things here at White Bluff. A huge one is weekly touch base meetings that we've put in place with all of our department heads. We sit down for an hour every week with each one of those folks to talk about what their financial situation is, any tasks they have on the table, and any other pertinent issues. We are already seeing a huge increase in groups this year, so mostly golf groups, like somebody mentioned earlier. Keith's driving a ton of revenue on the golf courses out here. So we also have weekly groups meetings with food and beverage, lodging, and golf to make sure that everybody's in the loop, knows what these groups that are coming in need. We've also included the Lighthouse Pub in those monthly meetings because they are servicing a lot of these folks after hours as well, and they've been a huge help for us also. We hired a lodging manager in February of this year that unfortunately resigned a couple of weeks ago, but I do want to say that I'm very thankful for her. She was able to get us online and fully functioning for reservations to be booked online for lodging, and that's been a huge success. We're already seeing a lot of bookings come through online. Right now, we're working on restructuring our phone system so that when you guys call in, for one, it has the correct people listed, and for two, that you're able to dial anybody. You can reach Keith if you need to, or Michael if you need to. Right now, what's happening is our receptionist is handling every single phone call that comes in, and it's crazy busy. That phone does not stop ringing. So we're trying to lighten her load a little bit because she's also assisting with reservations. So you'll see the phones kind of changing in the next few weeks. The other thing that we're doing is interviewing several different software companies for a new POS system. Right now we have a system that golf and food and beverage run on, and lodging runs on a separate system. We're looking for a company that can help all of those talk together to make everything much more efficient and easy for not only owners but guests and these big groups that we do have coming in. Everybody has touched on it, but the marina market's up and running. I want to say thanks to James and Christy Ivers for all of the work that they've put in there. And as I said a little bit ago, we've parted ways with our lodging manager, so I'm going to touch base a little bit on some of the marketing efforts and some of the lodging efforts and what's going on there. The Inn opened in April of 2022, and it's been a tremendous addition to the lodging facilities. At the end of 2022, total lodging revenue was almost $453,000. Through April of this year, total lodging revenue is sitting at $141,000. We have a budget goal to do $625,000 in lodging through the end of 2023. And it will be a challenge, but I think we believe that with the groups that we have on the books and the consistent reservations that we've got coming in daily, that we will hit that goal. Jimmy T could not join us either, so I'm going to touch on a few maintenance items that he wanted to make sure you guys know that he got completed last year. They removed the gas pumps off the docks and at the market. They plumbed and prepped for the new marina dock extension. They rebuilt the emergency exit gates, and they fixed and or replaced over 2 miles of fence throughout the property. Let's see, and I'm going to cover one more department, which is security. Our new chief of security, Mr. Philip Powell, is here today. Philip has only been here for about 3 weeks, so I didn't know that it was fair to throw him up here and ask him to come up with some things, but he's already been a huge asset. He's working all 3 shifts. In those 3 weeks, he's worked all over the place trying to figure out how we currently operate and how to make those operations better. He's already begun to implement some consistency and solid procedures for his staff to ensure the safety of the community. So thank you very much, Philip. We're super glad you're here. I touched on earlier, but the White Bluff staff cares very much about this community and serving its residents. In the welcome bags that you got today, you all received there's a blue contact card attached to those. It has all of our email addresses on it. I was going to put phones, but again, we're going to change the phones, so that'll be obsolete in a couple of weeks. But all of our email addresses are on there. If you're unhappy about anything, please call us. If you're happy about something, definitely call us. We like to hear the good stuff. I'd like to thank the board of directors for your support and just the ridiculous amount of time that you all put into trying to make the best decisions for this community. And last, I want to thank Keith Harris. The work that Keith puts in daily is honestly inspiring, and we are very lucky to have him. Keith is driving so much revenue for this place. I'm thankful for all of my department heads, and I'll let them speak, but this place is definitely better because of people like Keith, and I just want to say thank you. And we will start with Keith.
Good morning. Y'all have no idea what that cost right there. That's a whole week's worth of salary just for her to say something nice. Anyway, it's hard for me to believe that I've been here 8 months. It's been really quick. I started September of 2022, and time is flying by. My wife Julie and I bought a house out here, and I've said this before, you know, what makes this place special is the people sitting right here. It's a very special spot. You know, being part of the Northern Texas PGA and being part of the golf community in Texas, you don't have to tell people where White Bluff is at. When I go out and people see White Bluff on my name, or golf professionals see me and ask me how things are going at White Bluff, this place has been special for a long time. And I know kind of through the transition, some of that was lost, but it is starting to rebound and come back. And we're starting to see a lot of tournaments and things come in that haven't been out here in a long time, just because I think a lot of them have forgotten how special this piece of property is until they see it again now. I just want to hit on a couple of things that we've brought in, and kudos to Mike Shelton and his crew. They give me a great product. Carrie and her staff have done fantastic. Pretty much every catering we've had, they've knocked out of the park. It's been a very solid transition of things going on here, and it's a lot of that goes to Mike and Carrie, so thank you. Some of the tournaments we've run this year. So we had a Whitney High School tournament that was not overly large, but it was very successful. We've had a couple of large flagship type events. The Texas Golf Association was out here about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They had a Super Senior Championship. They originally had 120 of the best 65 and over players, amateur players in the state that played the new course for 3 days. It would have been the 120, except for we had rain come in. They dropped down to 90. So still, we had nothing but kudos on how great the facility was. We are also hosting the Texas Golf Association's Junior Amateur Championship. That is the largest amateur championship in the state of Texas. People like Lee Trevino, Ben Crenshaw, Tom Kite, Scotty Scheffler, those people are the caliber players that came out of that event. 312 of the best junior amateurs will be on these 2 golf courses at the end of July. That's huge. We just last weekend hosted another AAT event, which is a Northern Texas PGA. AAT is All-American Tour. That is their largest tour. So that is all the college players. Scotty Scheffler came off of that tour. Will Zalatoris. I mean, the list goes on of the tour players that came out of the Northern Texas section that cut their teeth on that tour. We hosted their tour championship for the fall events. So the kids that qualified to be in this championship, they played this golf course last weekend. Again, it was nothing but hats off of how great the facility was. That actually led us into getting another event through the Northern Texas PGA that we will host here in November, and this is a huge feather in our cap. There are 2 Ryder Cup style events that happen in the section. So the PGA in Texas is divided between 2 lines. So we have a Northern Texas section, a Southern Texas section, and me being a PGA guy for 25 years, I can tell you that no one from the North likes anyone from the South. I mean, we have a event that's been long-standing called the Joe Black Cup matches, which is a North against the South, and it's a huge deal. There's been a spinoff 6 years ago that was the Levy Cup. Again, another Ryder Cup style event. It's the 4 best seniors, the 4 best teaching professionals, and the 4 best assistant golf professionals that team up North versus the South. We actually just landed last week the Levy Cup for White Bluff in November. Be huge. So again, a lot of this is from the golf course that the people have seen and how good it is. I was fortunate enough back in 2003 or 4, whichever year, I can't remember, I played in a state open here, and I knew when I came here how special this place was, and it definitely does not disappoint. Also, one more thing that we just added this last week. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with Callaway Golf. They host a couple of retreats every year, which all their VIPs come in, a bunch of their staff professionals come in. They'll be here in August for a couple of days. About 40 of the Callaway VIPs will be out here staying in our lodge and playing golf out here for a couple of days. We're very excited about that. We are continuing to try to assist the very active MGA and LGA events. If y'all ever want to sign up for any of those, if you don't participate, we sure encourage that. I know Alan's around here somewhere. He's right there. This next event we've got next weekend, he's got 60 plus playing in it. Huge MGA, which is great. We're resurrecting the Tuesday night scramble that starts at the old course, 5 o'clock. The first one is next Tuesday. If you want to sign up, you don't have to be a great golfer. We're going to put you on a team, 3-person scramble. We'd love to have y'all out. We will be doing some networking stuff with, we'll be sending out some infos about clinics. We'll be having some junior clinics. But all these things, we're just trying to grow the experience. So the tough part for me is you can put the pedal on the floor as hard as you can and drive as many rounds as you can, but you have to remember that the folks in here, this is y'all's place. So it's trying to find that fine line of giving you enough benefit and enough place and time to play and trying to drive as much revenue as we can as well. Today, right now, we've got the Hill County 4-H Shooters Club. They have 120 players playing at the old course right now, and we have 140 on the sheet today on this golf course. So it's trying to find that fine line of what is too much and what is not enough. So we'll work that out as we keep going. I appreciate everyone's support, and if anything I can ever do to help y'all out, please let me know. I think I have a question. Yes, ma'am. They will not be televised. A lot of those get a lot of online plugs. We're still working with actually one I forgot. We haven't crossed the finish line, but we're getting close. The Canadian PGA is going to be doing their PPC, which is their kind of club pros like me, but from Canada. Their PPC championship, which is their largest event. We're working on getting that one in. Had a lot of conversations with the guy, and he's just, to me, he's kind of kicking the tires. He keeps going back and forth between that's great, and we'll figure it out, but we're still working on that. But none of them are televised. A lot of those are online, and I can definitely, anyone that wants to follow online, they do live scoring at most of those events, and I can sure let you know where you can go. But we do get a lot of publicity for these events. We get a lot of plugs for these events, which are nice, and that's what we're here for. So, any other questions? Thank you all so much for the support. Look forward to see y'all out.
All right, up next, Michael Shelton, Director of Agronomy.
Just for a tall guy. Hello all, thanks for coming. Again, hats off to Keith. He's been a great addition to our staff. He spoke to the 270 rounds we're doing today. I believe it was 3 weeks ago on a Sunday. We did over 350 rounds of golf in one day. And that was without any event going on. We had a couple of small groups, but no large tournament. So in my 3+ years here, that is by far the most amount of rounds we've had in one single day. So hats off to Keith. Thank you. Keep driving it. Daddy needs diesel. I appreciate it. So, Mr. Williams and Mr. Fletcher did kind of steal a little bit of my thunder, but I'll touch base on some of that. The big to-do last year was the serious drought conditions we're going through. At this point last year, we had only had 4 inches of rain to date. We're currently sitting at 12.5. So we're pacing more towards a normal year. Things are nice and green. It finally warmed up. Looking forward to not experiencing any more droughts like that in my next 10 years. So, especially with the use of the diesel pump that Mr. Williams had mentioned. So, that being said, with the diesel pump in operation, we're at a rationed amount of irrigation water. So, we do the best we can going into the next 3 months to ration that water for turf health, which is our primary focus. And then another big conversation last year was all of our golf course ponds drying up. So what we're trying to do this year is get a better balance of turf health and keeping water in our ponds for aesthetics as we have all the outside play in. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on. Another big to-do last year was that our 2 golf courses for the first time ever were ranked number 1 and 2 in the state of Texas. I'm happy to report that we remain in the top 3, but some course outside of Houston stole the number 1 spot. So we're currently number 2 and 3, even through all the challenges we had last year. as far as the 2022 numbers. And I will say the one course in Houston only had 18 reviews, and we had well over 200. So take that for what you will. But as Keith said, we're providing a product that allows him to drive revenue and bring in outside events, some very large events through his affiliation with his association. So I think, like it's been well stated behind me, that, you know, White Bluff is on the up. We're back on the map. You know, we get a lot of hidden gem compliments, and nobody's hiding. We're right here. Come enjoy the property. So a lot of our staff over the past 4 or 5 months this winter was focused on tree pruning. That was something we skipped in the winter of 21. So we did course-wide, both courses, pretty much limbing up trees with the goal of, you know, still the 100% turf coverage. That's been my stated goal since I've been here, and I speak to it year after year. And so a lot of areas, they were just let go, not just during the 2 years we were closed, but even prior to that. We've had to go in and try to returf some of these areas. So in 2019, both golf courses were rebuilt, new greens, new bunkers, and what we're trying to do now, our staff, is kind of fine-tune things. We're trying to focus on in-play areas, and especially around the greens, implementing shade-tolerant types of turf that will grow, and being a little more aggressive with our tree pruning. So last year we spoke about all the pallets of the shade-tolerant sod we put in. In February, we installed 40 pallets of Tiff-Tuff sod, and that's on pace with what we did last year. So again, we're moving forward piece by piece as we can within our operating expenses. In the past month, my superintendent and a select handful of my staff have transplanted 7,500 square feet of Tiff Eagle grass, our greens variety, from the nursery that I constructed last year to cover up some of the winter damage spots on the old course and the new course. So I'm happy to report that our goal was to finish by May 16th, and we almost hit the mark, May 19th. So every piece of sod that I grew on that green has been transplanted, and we're coming right along. So a lot of that's weather related. We're finally warm enough now. We're getting timely rains, and again, moving in the right direction. I believe Mr. Williams spoke to the diesel pump and the Corps of Engineers, and I go back to the rationing of water. It's been discussed heavily in our Greens Committee, which I sit on, that we need to start thinking about creating some no-mow or naturalized areas. We actually had board approval through Jerry in the long-range planning to make a minimal investment in the irrigation parts to implement this practice on the old course. Our test plot's going to be hole 4 through hole 8. And what we're trying to accomplish there is the long-term goal of sustainability, the short-term goal of let's give the property owners an idea of what this could look like. So both golf courses are very large, very wide corridors. It's not the norm for any course outside of the country, but looking forward as water turns into the new gold, we have to think about sustainability, and with our current water crisis, you know, how we get ahead of the problem that we're about to face in 3 months. So that's one big project we have going. I believe staffing's been talked to enough. We've had our challenges as well. I'm currently 2 short full-time. I'm looking to hire actually 3 or 4 just seasonal help. So that's where I need the most help, is some young kids, high school, college age, to come in from, you know, getting out of school next week to going back to school in August, to help us out with some of the detail work. We've already bounced on irrigation enough, I think. Erosion control projects have been ongoing. We've done quite a bit of work on the old course, actually, and a few small areas on the new course. Mr. Williams also briefly mentioned the pump committee, and I want to get a big round of applause for myself to Mr. Chagnon for his commitment and his involvement. He's been great to work with, and Bobby's also here. Helmbeck's playing golf probably, but so what that consists of is myself, 2 board members, Jerry and Jeff both, and then 3 retired or semi-retired professional engineers, engineering backgrounds, who have all come together to help us create plans that help us deal with the Corps of Engineers, and then long-term find a solution to not having to run a diesel pump for the next 6 years. So he spoke to where we're at with the engineering study and their feasibility report, and it came back and it was too expensive. So we're going back to the idea of maybe drilling wells or pursuing other options after we get to a point where we have the funding to do so. Right now, I'm working personally with the Corps of Engineers to extend our annual permit, which is up in August, to allow us to keep using the diesel pump. So that will be our foreseeable future. Mr. Williams, I'll keep calling you out, I'm sorry. I also spoke to the first quarter financials, and Keith didn't even mention his revenue, so I will. But I actually did year to date, so April. Combined, Keith and I are $160,000 over projected budget for the first 4 months of the year. A lot of that's him driving revenue and cramming golf down my throat. Thank you again. And then we've had some savings there, being short-staffed in labor. I think utilities were spoken to. They're a little under what they should have been. And then I actually have $43,000 in savings as far as my operational expenses. So my department total is $111,000 under, which is 16% of my year-to-date budget. We're trying to be the team player and trying to help be responsible with the finances we have while providing the great products we have. So, as Keith said, I'm always around, and Sue, I mean, we're always available. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to stop by, call me, email me. I'm always available, pretty much always here. Happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Carrie Holden, Director of Food and Beverage.
Thank you, guys. It's a great time to be in White Bluff. So I am your food and beverage manager. I've been here for 8 months. I also managed out here back in 2016-17, and I can tell you this experience is so much better. I wanted to talk about, I have 3 basic goals or philosophies when I'm working in a restaurant, and that is to hire, train, and retain a great team. The team experience will not ever, your experience as a guest will never exceed the team experience. So it is very important to me to take care of my team. I love the feedback that I get. I get emails all the time about what a great job we've done or how good the food was or whatever, and I share that every time with my cooks. I've got an amazing staff. We have 14 on staff. I believe when I took over, I had 9. So we've been able to grow and retain these team members. I've put a lot of changes in the last 8 months on that kitchen and on the servers to try to better your experience, and they're just remarkable. So I'm super proud of my team. My other goal is accuracy, consistency, and food quality. We have changed up a lot of menu items. We do new menu items or new menus every quarter. This quarter that we started April, for the second quarter of the year, we ran the Pick 2, so you can get half a sandwich, half a salad, cup of soup, whatever. That's been a huge success. The strawberry pecan salad, it's one of the top sellers. The chicken salad sandwich, I mean, we're trying to bring in things that people enjoy, and they're cool and they're ready for summer. Okay, so we're looking at quarter 3. I don't know there'll be a lot of changes going on in quarter 3. We're still running the hot. So the fruit, you know, we'll maybe bring in watermelon and different things to add to quenching your thirst. We started a happy hour. So from 3 to 6, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's half-price beer and wine and several appetizers. That has helped. My number 1 goal is to fill the seats, because there is nothing more expensive in any restaurant across the country than an empty chair. And we need to keep those seats filled. We are 38% oversells for this time last year, which is huge. There's not many restaurants that can say that. And I just appreciate all your support. Keith's got a lot of kudos today, but, he's the little brother I never wanted. And but he drives sales. We are at each other all the time. The events that we have been taking care of, we're working on Mondays and Tuesdays, Sunday nights when the restaurants typically close. But I tell you, the feedback from just lodging, golf, the golf courses, and the food, people love us. and they're wanting to come back with their families, not just for a golf tournament. So that is really huge. So let's see, we have happy hour. Oh, the events. So tonight, if you have not seen the emails, we have our first major live music event. David Murphy, Rick Holden, and Mark Frank all live out here. They're playing tonight on the patio, and we're having a shrimp bowl. Shrimp is being donated by Bill Dudley and his company. Shrimp is from 6 to 8, and then the music will be 7 to 10. This is our first big event, and I hope it's not the last. I look forward to really having a great time. The guys have done an amazing job cleaning out here. We've got lights set up now. So I'm just super excited, and I see a lot of faces that I've really gotten to know you guys, and I see a lot of people that I haven't got to meet yet. So you need to come see me. Come to Mulligan's and let's chat. Again, I'm always open for suggestions. A lot of the specials that we run are from property owners, you know, so if you've got something you'd like to see as a Wednesday night special, just reach out and we try to make it happen. My sidekick is Kathy Ogle. She was the manager for the 19th Grill. When I lost my chef in February, Kathy stepped up. She has done a phenomenal job. The kitchen is so organized and processes are really flowing into place, and she's a big part of that training piece on the kitchen. So I appreciate everybody. I'm always here for you. Let's continue to eat together.
Thanks, Carrie. Also in your little goodie bags that you got today, there is a 10% off coupon for Mulligan's. Oh, there's also a $10 off golf lesson with Keith. I didn't tell you I was putting that in there, but I did. Sorry. Okay, up next, Rick Ashton, our roads supervisor.
See, we're still in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Hey, I'm not as good a speaker as those other people are, but hey, we will be getting that new equipment finally. It is scheduled to be here the first week of June, so we're hoping everything will work well and we'll get everything going with that seal coating. We had, I know I tore up a lot of roads, but that was in anticipation of receiving that equipment, so we'll jump back on all those roads we got started. I don't know if y'all noticed that we were up there working on White Bluff Drive. We're trying to get all that leveling up stuff completed, so I'm going to seal coat that road. Probably be one of the first couple roads that we actually seal coat, so it'll be seal coated from the gate all the way to the bridge. So that'll really look a lot better than what it does right now. So it'll be quite a bit smoother, hopefully. We also, let's see here what we've done. A lot of stuff he's already covered. We did a lot of, we do have over 10 miles, it's hard to believe, we've got over 10 miles of roadway ready for seal coat. That's chip seal, I guess we should say it, but we got a lot of roads ready, so once we get turned loose on everything, we'll be able to get going good on all that. We have, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I've got we've bought over 400 tons so far of that seal coat rock. So we've got a lot of stuff ready to go. As soon as that equipment gets here, we'll start purchasing all that emulsion. So there's a lot of things we're going to be ready to do here. Hopefully by the middle of next month, we'll be going to town. So, and I thank John for all the help he's given me. Old Mr. Bass, he's done quite a bit to keep things going. So as long as we keep the funds in, we'll keep going. Let's see what else here. And I think that's pretty much it. We spent a lot of money on equipment this year, I know, and we've spent a lot of money on material, but we've saved a lot of money by us in-house doing it. So hopefully we'll just keep going at it and get a lot of things done. And I think that's it. Thanks, guys.
That concludes the department head reports. We'll now move to old business. We have one item under old business. That is the Walkinshaw litigation update. Joe Manders, board secretary.
Can you folks in the back hear me well? Great. Believe it or not, this litigation has been in effect in one form or another since 2009, some 14 years to date. The central issue presented in this litigation is, can a POA such as ours pay maintenance fees to a third party, such as Double Diamond, to maintain assets such as these 2 golf courses, which we now own, but we didn't until 2018, which we didn't own under Texas law. Now, I've been talking about this litigation at annual meetings and at board meetings probably for 3 years. And so I'm assuming that each of you has some basic understanding about what this litigation is about. If you do not, and you want to know, please see me after the meeting, because there's a lot to talk about in 14 years.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact date, but sometime I want to guess about 2 years ago, the 191st Civil District Court in Dallas ruled for the plaintiffs against us as the defendants. And that set the stage for a damage trial, which, if I recall correctly, was to be held sometime in 2021 to determine how much these 1,100 named plaintiffs were damaged by our wrongful payment of these maintenance fees. Counsel for both the plaintiffs and the defendants decided that it would be the best way to handle this would be to take what's known legally as an interlocutory appeal to the Dallas Court of Appeals and ask the Dallas Court of Appeals to determine the answer to the issue of whether it was wrongful to pay maintenance fees on an asset a POA didn't own. The Dallas Court of Appeals declined to take the case. Again, counsel for both plaintiffs and defendants then decided to take the case up to the Texas Supreme Court. And it's there now. We're waiting to hear from the Supreme Court as to whether they'll take jurisdiction and hear the issue. That's where we are now. And as soon as we hear something back, our counsel will advise us, and we'll advise you. So best that you attend meetings or read the minutes of the meetings where this will be reported as soon as we hear something. That's where we are. Thank you. Oh, one other thing. To date, I don't have an actual figure. One of the problems of this case is that the board has spent approximately $4.5 million in attorney's fees in this litigation. Think what we could do if we'd had those funds. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to new business. I'll call on Sue Ellen Kelly, General Manager.
The moment you've all been waiting for. So the election results are in, and we had an independent third party tally the votes. After everything was tallied, the top 3 candidates are John Bass with 1,528 votes. Jerry Meyer with 1,314 votes. Teal Lang with 1,279 votes. I will go ahead and read off the rest of the candidates and their votes. Rafiq Ahmed, 293. Christine Horn, 518. Bob Wilson, 318. Atif Khawaja, 266. Ken Faw, 29. Mark Fusselman, 190. Will Sasser, 364. And Stephen Murphy, 96. It's all yours. Oh, let me do one more thing. I'm going to open the floor for open forum. You want to do that? We're going to give them 4 minutes.
Congratulations and thank you for all the people that ran for the board and also for all of you who took time and effort to vote. We try to make that as easy as possible. We're going to continue using Vote Now because it's a very quick, efficient, easy way for people to vote prior to the election so we don't spend half a day counting ballots here at the annual meeting. At this time, I'll open the floor. This is an open forum. People can come forward and make comments or ask questions of the board or staff. We ask you to limit your time to 2 minutes per person. Anybody like to come forward? Please state your name for the record.
My name is Watsy Wallace. Me and my wife own 2 lots on Harlan Drive, and we're now in the process of trying to get approved building in the community. And what we are trying to have the ACA board understands that the information that they're asking for is a violation of the Texas Private Code. They're asking for 5 home builds. My builder provided that to them. And since then, some of the residents have sold the home. They want to speak with the current residents of the home, which you can't release that information out because it's a private act. You are the real estate attorney. You know that you cannot release people information out without their consent. And they calling people, and the people explain to them that we lived in the home is sold. They want that information. If when you go to closing on a property, you don't even know how the person looked that you sold your home to. You don't have any information on that person with phone numbers. All you know is the address because that's the address you used to live at. That's what the ACA board is holding my builder up with, and we are set to close this Wednesday on a construction loan to get started to build. And I talked to Mr. Jerry right there, and he keeps hollering about that's what they need, and I keep trying to get him to understand. It's an invasion of privacy. Texas law states that everybody has the right to privacy, and if I don't want to release my number to anybody, I don't have to. If you get my number without my consent, I could sue whoever gave it to you because it's against the law. It's invasion of my privacy, which is everybody here homeowners. You don't want no one, if you're not willing to consent to somebody calling you, that's invasion of your privacy. And that's what I'm trying to get Mr. Jerry to see. What more do he want for us to do? And I would like the board to step in to overrule their decision and get my builder approved so we could start this process. We love the community. That's why when we first came out here to look at the property, we put an offer in right then and there because it's a beautiful community. Another property came up beside us for sale, we brought that because we're in love with it. The reason why we all move out here for the security that it provides, protect your privacy. And for anyone in the random to give your information out to anybody, you will feel very violated without your permission. And that's what Mr. Jerry fails to understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will take that under advisement and we will check to make sure that our ACC rules, which we recently reviewed and updated, are consistent with and fall within state law. Other questions or comments? Come forward, please. State your name and address for the record.
Jerry Barnett, 17076 Faircrest. I'm not sure I can get all this in 2 minutes, but I'm going to try. I've talked to the board several times about, I'm not sure everyone knows, but there's a 911. We're doing a renumbering of the whole development of all of the postal addresses, which I brought some concerns to the board back in January, and I wrote a letter in January. And in March, I was at that meeting, and we discussed it. Y'all gave me some reasons for try to address my concerns. One of them was, well, Double Diamond was supposed to do it years ago, and they didn't do it because they didn't want to, basically. We have duplicate streets. We have one street not in Google. We have a judicial mandate requiring all Hill County to comply with EMS numbering. Y'all gave me the names of 911 mapping and the name of the judge. I spoke to both. I spoke to Karen McClendon. We asked if she renumbered any development societies the size of White Bluff. She stated they completed Hubbard, which is about our size but more compact. Stated transition period would be 1.5 to 2 years, and we've done a section at a time. She's concerned with the Whitney Post Office and their ability to do what they need to do. I've spoken to several people that live in Blum and Whitney, and they didn't go through this process. I spoke to Justin Lewis on a couple of days ago on Thursday of May the 18th. He stated there was a mandate to provide EMS dressing in 2000 and another one about 2 years ago. I asked him why Blum and Whitney had not renumbered, and he stated they had not asked the county to help them, to assist in that. He stated the Whitney Fire Chief and the POA Board came to him and asked about renumbering the development. The POA Board informed him they had talked with POA attorneys and that the board had legal authority to change those numbers. And he stated the board asked him to write a letter on county letterhead to make it more official. And the county even hired an additional person to make this happen because it's going to be a monumental project. I'm only doing about half the page of my 3-page deal here, but I'm personally disappointed that there was not a town hall meeting to discuss this before we went down this road. I think the renumbering was pushed by the fire chief. I've heard that from multiple people. And that's my hearsay. The fire chief and a few members of the board. I've always defended this. I think we talked about transparency, and I've always defended this board as you're doing meetings on a monthly basis and everybody's invited. Unfortunately, only about 15 people out of 700 show up. So I don't think a lot of people know that this issue is really happening. People I talk to all the time, they don't know this is even going on. At my first PO meeting, I think John may have spoke to the deal about how it used to be. In 2000 was our first POA board meeting, and someone was questioning Mike Ward, the developer, and he said, sit down and shut up. I got all the control, and pretty much he did. He controlled the board, he controlled the votes. I don't think this board is that way, and I don't know why we haven't had some public forum to at least discuss this. I've looked through the maps. I've talked to the 911 person. Yes, there are many issues with the system we have. I don't disagree. And maybe if we had to sit down and discuss it on a big map for everybody to see and we pointed everything out, I wouldn't have spent probably 4 months trying to figure out how to stop it. But it's going. I mean, we've approved 911's already established some new addresses out here, and y'all just approved 9 new names for existing streets. So it's happening. I don't think we're going to stop it. Maybe we don't want to stop it. I just think there's going to be a lot of, it's a good long-term process, but probably in the short term we're going to experience for the next 2 years, I think, a lot of issues. You've got 6,000 properties you're going to have to change addresses on, 700 homes, everybody's going to get their licenses, have to change. So that's all I have. I do appreciate you guys, I really do. I know you spend countless hours, just like the ACC does. We spend a lot of hours, but I know all you do, I know what you do, and all the subjects y'all have. Go to some of these POA work sessions, you'll see how much they handle. It's amazing. So thank you anyway.
Just for the record, we will be holding a town hall in June. We have not yet set a date, but the board's already discussed having a town hall to discuss issues including 911 renumbering for homes. The reason we have not done it prior to June is we have transitioned brand new staff that are trying to get organized and get their subordinates trained and trying to get ready for this annual meeting. So we will be holding that in June. As soon as we settle on a date, we will be announcing that, sending it out to everyone. So anybody would like to attend. We'll also be soliciting topics that people want to have discussed at that forum. So be looking for that in the next week or two. Anyone else? Come on up.
Linda Snyder on White Bluff Drive. Yeah, I know. Linda Snyder, White Bluff Drive. I'm really happy to hear about the improvement of the roads that are going to be coming up, but I also worry about the trucks that are going to be up and down those roads day in and day out. Should I be worried about that, or is what we're going to do take care of, stand up through all that? Through the trucks with all the new homes and everything that's
always going to be a problem in a growth community as we continue to grow and add new homes. We're going to have a lot of truck traffic. One thing that security will have to do, many of these people, these truck drivers that come through here regularly. They're not one-off. They're usually the same companies that have the same trucks that come out here over and over and over again for construction. So one of the things that we'll ask the new security chief to do, to work with his staff to warn these people to comply with the speed limits and common traffic courtesy. One vehicle across the bridge, covered bridge at one time, for example, so that we can at least make it more manageable. Many of these people are on a deadline. Time is money to them, but it's also a safety issue for us, so they need to work with us if they want to continue servicing White Bluff. But I know that there's been a discussion about an alternative truck entrance. That means that we would have to use that emergency exit on the north side. All that's doing is diverting traffic away from the main roads to some of the side roads, which are not capable of heavy continuous truck traffic as are White Bluff and Golf Drives, which take the brunt of it. Anyone else?
I'm Gigi Johansson, and I have come to several of the meetings and requested one thing, a lift chair at the rustic swimming pool. 2 years ago, the president of the board said, yes, they would put in a lift chair. I even got a text a few months later that said it was in progress. But go to the pool, there's no lift chair. And that's the only thing here that I can actually use, because I can't use the golf course, I can't golf, I can't boat, and I've owned property since 2091. So I think we should be putting in a lift chair. I can write the CDC if that's what you want me to do, but I've tried not to go that route. Okay?
I hear you. Sue Ellen, will you make note of that as one project that we need to look further into? Thank you. Anyone else?
I've got one quick.
Dottie Redding, 1607 Faircrest Drive. And my question is the 911 addressing a done deal? Is that what's going to happen?
No.
Or are we going to be able to talk about it?
Yeah, we have not finalized it with the county. In fact, we have another meeting that we'll be setting after this meeting to talk with them going forward. But the process has not yet begun. And we're going to ask the county to come out to the town hall that we're going to have in June to talk about the plan, talk about the timeline, talk about why it's necessary to get it done.
Okay. Well, I know there's a lot of people that are really concerned about it. I mean, this is going to take bukus of time to change addresses everywhere. When you do your income tax, your address has changed, but you didn't sell your house, you didn't buy another one. It's just going to be big problems. But anyway.
Well, and I think every community that's gone through it has faced the same issues. That's why they need to explain the process and the steps that they take to make it as easy as possible for people. The reason that they want it done is the ESD contracts with ambulance service. These people are not from this area. And I'll give you an example of a problem that occurred, I believe it was a week ago Thursday. We're going to Mulligan's to dinner. And an ambulance, Care Flight ambulance, comes out of the side street by the waterfall pool. They come out, they turn, they go up toward Mulligan's, they go to the stop sign, they make a U-turn, they come back. Well, the gentleman in front of me stops and asks them, do you know where the emergency is? And they weren't clear. Well, they knew, they had an address. But because of the numbering, they were confused, and he says, if you keep going straight down White Bluff Drive, it's down on the right-hand side. But because of the numbering system on White Bluff Drive, she was trying to find the house number, and she was quite a distance from where the emergency occurred. We've had a number of incidents, and I'll invite the fire department up when we have the community forum. They've had incidents where we have firefighters that live here in the community that are having trouble finding the address because right now none of our amenities have addresses except for 20220 Misty Valley Circle, I believe it is. And it's a particular problem on the weekends. If they get a 911 call and that dispatcher says the emergency is at 20220 Misty Valley Circle, which is the administrative office, ambulance goes there, no one's there, they don't know where to go.
I understand that, but I did see on the things that came out about the candidates last week that the conference center now has an address. Have they always had an address at the conference center? If the conference center has one, the Lone Star Room should have an address. I just wanted to know if it was a done deal. I hope it takes.
That's why we need a community meeting to go through all of this and have the people in the community ask the experts that will be the ones to do this, the questions and answer them, because Joe and I just have the limited information that we've gotten in our meetings with the county.
As a member of the ACC committee, I also worry about people that are building homes right now and putting that number into their rock or brick wall. I'd be really disappointed if I didn't know anything about that and my house was brand new and had that already done. So I think maybe you all need to let us know what we should do in that respect as well.
Well, I think the new homes going forward it won't be an issue with them. It's the existing homes that are the problem.
Well, it's the ones that are being built right now are the ones that
Right.
Okay.
But going forward, when the ACC issues a permit and then the county reviews a floodplain map and does a sign-off, they are issued an address at that time. So new homes won't be a problem.
Okay.
It's just existing homes.
Okay, thank you.
I would just add that this decision to change 911 addresses is no more popular with members of the board than it is with you. So.
Candy Barnett, 17076 Faircrest. In continuing, when we talked with the judge, he can't hear you. Scoot up. When we talked with the judge, he said that this is already being implemented. Even Karen said she was already initiating new addresses. Y'all voted to change 9 street names, so it is already being implemented. And the judge clearly stated he had no authority to ask this development to renumber. He stated that. He said this was a board thing. So just to be clear, that's what he said. He said he wasn't surprised he was getting blamed.
One of us is not being told the truth.
Well, I'm just saying, I told him, I said, look, we were told to come and talk with you, that this was you and 911. He said the board came to us for the amenities when we started speaking about the amenities, and I'm telling them about the numbering. They said they wanted to renumber. He said he asked specifically of the board members that were there if they had the authority. And they said they checked with the attorney, and he said the board had the authority to implement it.
That is news to me.
I'm just letting the entire board know that's what the judge said.
The judge, I have a
Judge
letter.
Lewis, Justin Lewis.
I have a letter from Judge Lewis saying
He
it's a county
said
requirement.
that you asked for a letter to be put on the letterhead to make it more official, but that he had no authority.
He told you he had no authority
He
to
said
require
he
it?
had no authority to ask any city to renumber.
We are not an incorporated entity.
He was just.
We're in a county. But here's the point. The original order for 911 numbering goes back to 1991 in Hill County. Every other property in Hill County was properly renumbered starting in 1991 under the judge's order and a vote of the commissioners of Hill County at that time. The only people that did not comply was White Bluff because Mike Ward said he would not do it, and the county did not have the intestinal fortitude to say, we have the authority to enforce this. This needs to be done because it's a health and safety issue. Now we're having a fire department and emergency services people that cannot find medical emergencies in this community. One of the consequences of that, if somebody dies because they're in cardiac arrest and we're delayed in getting them medical attention, are they going to turn around and sue the POA, or are we going to have another walk-and-child case on our hands?
My comment, excuse me.
Teal?
I understand none of us like this. It's a huge pain, etc. But what I don't understand is this is a health and safety issue for everyone here, and I can't, at the end of the day, understand why we wouldn't want to better that situation. So I just think we need to, I just think we need to keep that part in mind, that that's the ultimate goal of the issue, of the situation. So.
Well, also, when we spoke with with Karen, she said that she now had the addresses and showed me the listing. Said the board had given her all the addresses and the streets, and she said, I'm now going to put that into my system,
I'm still
which
not
meant it wasn't there.
I'm still not understanding. I don't know all of the facts. I didn't talk to that person, blah, blah, but I just kind of think we need to remember the end goal is for health and safety of everyone here in this community. And if that's what we have to do, however it comes about, I don't know why that is an objectionable goal. That's all.
Well, beg your pardon? Yeah, I mean, GPS.
Well, I've read the order, and the problem is, this is very basic. I haven't read the order that this all originated from, but it outlines, it's not GPS. There's a coordinated system within the county and the state, and we aren't plugged into that.
That's what I was trying to get at, because she
It's
said
in the order.
her system did not have the White
So
Bluff
this-
development in it.
so
Why?
this-
No wonder they can't find us if they don't have the addresses
There's
in their system.
also a requirement in that order that is very specific about how the numbering should occur, so that, you know,
Odd
I'm
even?
sorry, you know, like you go down a street, it's not normal. The numbers are sequential, 24, 25, but the order says they have to be odd and even, et cetera. So I think we need to think of the big picture instead of this is my opinion, you know, instead of trying to figure out who said what, and, sorry, the fly's attacking me, the details of it. none of us like going through it. It's going to impact a lot of stuff, but I don't know why, at the end of the day, we aren't wanting a more effective system.
I think we're just wanting clarity, because when it started,
Candy, we tell you one thing, and then you go ask, I don't know.
I was
I
told to
don't
go
know.
talk to those
I
two
can-
people
well,
by the board.
because you keep coming at us and telling us, we don't like it, and we tell you, this is the deal, and
We're
so it's
telling
like,
you
go
we're
talk
trying
to
to
the county.
understand it.
I can give you a copy of the order, which was presented to us, and we were told we had to comply. And so, and we haven't for 30 years, and I don't know what to tell you at the end of the day, other than,
Just trying, the whole point is trying to get clarity. If you don't understand it, you can't really, you have questions. We've had questions since it started. Every time we ask a question, it seems
You
like
don't
the
like-
answer is different.
Well-
Not that I just don't like it, but that it's different. Then
Okay.
finally, it's like, we have no control, we don't like it, you go talk to them, and then they say something completely
Yeah,
different.
I don't know what
It
about
makes you
that.
feel like you're being deceived.
I don't know
And I just
about
want
that.
clarity.
I don't
What he
know.
was trying to say, if you hold a deal and you explain it, then we all might be behind it because we understood it and not be angry.
I can help you understand it. So as a healthcare professional and a former emergency department nurse a million years ago, every EMS response is built on a grid. And it differs by county, state, et cetera. And there was an order, and look, there's a lot of us that don't have the historical background of when the order, who signed it, who complied, who didn't. Seems kind of irrelevant. My numbering, by the way, is embedded in the side of my house. This is not fun for me either. But there's an emergency response grid, and we don't comply with it. And it doesn't really matter. I think Teal makes a great point that this is a safety issue. And I've seen, and I mentioned this at one of the board meetings, USAA Insurance had to change the numbering on their building in Phoenix because it didn't comply with the grid. They were just like us. They were a little private community, right? They had their own campus. And every time we called EMS to that campus, they went downtown Phoenix. And it's really the same situation. I'm not sure where the disconnect, and the he said, she said story is the same in every situation. Until all those parties are in a room, we'll never figure out what happened. I wasn't there, I can tell you that, and most of the people, I don't know a single person at this table that was there when this took place. So I'm not sure where the disconnect happens, but I think Teal makes a good point that we can spend a lot of time trying to figure out how we got here, or we can figure out what's best to do for the community, share the planning as we go forward. I think Jim makes an excellent point about bringing this to the town hall meeting so that everybody can see the plans and know we are victims, the board members, of this decision as well. But I'll tell you what, if something happens at my house, I want EMS to show up there. I want fire department to show up there. It's a difficult situation.
I'm not saying that it maybe doesn't need to be done. I'm saying I'm trying to understand.
Well, I'm telling you
And so-
why. It happens because of 911.
That's going to have to come through the town hall.
911 grid.
We will have the town hall, and we will have everybody that would like to speak to it. We will ask county officials, Karen, to be there to explain it. And by the way, it's going to take her a year and a half to GPS all those addresses. This is not going to be an overnight change.
She said a year and a half to 2.
Right. Okay? Anything else? Anybody else want to speak? One more, and then we need to...
Real quick, I think it's a really good question, but Dennis Ashworth, I have a lot up here on Cedar Crest, right above the pool up there. Been a lot owner since '93. Anyway, I got my tax property assessment just recently for Hill County, and I'm impressed that our property is over doubled. Is that a good thing? I think it's a direct relationship to White Bluff's popularity.
It's good if you want to sell. It's not so good if you're going to own it.
If you own it, yeah. So I kind of wanted to get the feel of is that for us here, is that generally that's a positive note, right?
Yeah, everybody in Texas is going through this right now because we're a growth state, and all these tax assessors see a nice big check coming in.
All right, thank you.
Okay. You're going to have to come to the mic if you want to speak. that we're by the way, being live streamed on YouTube. So, and we have a contract time for them to do that, and we're just about out of time.
Sorry, this is just another quick question. My name's Karen Perez. We own a lot on Redwood Court. And I was just kind of wondering what plans for additional amenities or features were in discussion or on the works.
I could not hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh, I usually don't have that problem. Start all over. What new amenities? Sorry. Yeah, I was just wondering what amenities.
That will come as part of the long-range planning process. Right now, we're focusing on bringing the existing amenities up to standards. And as we begin the long-range planning process, there will be property owner input opportunities for that. Jerry will be heading that up, and that's going to be one of our priorities for the next 12 months.
Okay, so is there anything in the works or just thought process for the near future?
That's the process we're just launching into. Our focus for the last 5 years has been to get the amenities, the existing amenities up to standard, and now we're ready to start long-range planning and moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need to adjourn real quickly. It's got to be the last one because we're over time.
Brad Lundberg, 16094 Faircrest Drive. Faircrest is popular this morning. Anyway, different topic. I just wanted to give a heads up to the security. I have used the burn pit many times since we've lived here for a little over 2 years. And a wonderful thing that we have to take our tree debris and stuff that we cut and take out to the burn pit. I went out there 2 days ago, I think it was, and security was there from White Bluff, the county sheriff was there, and there were 2 large trucks there that were dumping at the pit that had no right to dump it there at the pit. So I just wanted to thank you so much to security for doing that, and I'm hoping we can keep that. And I was wondering if there's any thought of any type of security to keep the riffraff, I'll call them that, out of the burn pit.
That's been a topic of discussion in the previous board meeting, and our general manager is fully aware of that, and they're working on that.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, we're out of time. We're up to the last item on the agenda. That's adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by John Bass. Is there a second? Second by Jeff Williams. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.